Welcome into the ESPN FC studios for what is the final show of 2021, and we thank the Lord for Romelu Lukaku as we have something to talk about. He is the gift that really does literally keep on giving at the moment. It was the second part of that exclusive interview where he came out and said Inter have top directors, but their fans are truly the best in the world. It hurt me that Inter said no to my extension. I would have stayed 100%. I watch all their matches, all of them. It is really like that when Inter touch you. He continues, I miss Lautaro. For Lauti, I could die for him on the pitch. Together at Chelsea? No, stay at Inter because I will be back. Playing with Lautaro to me was the best. From day one, I understood that we can do great things. There was natural understanding between us. Thomas Tuchel, of course, has got the little matter of Liverpool coming up this weekend. Looking ahead to that game, he said, let's be honest, I don't like it because it's noise that we don't need. We need a calm environment and focus, and this does not help. Let's welcome to the show, shall we? Julian Laurent, looking smart on New Year's Eve. Don Hutchison and Craig Burley as well. Craig, this Lukaku stuff is bonkers.
It is, because even though you could be happy at a club and successful, you know, he's committed to a move, a big money move. He didn't have to say yes. He wasn't frog marched from Milan airport onto a flight and taken to London. And so Chelsea have made a huge commitment and a piece of the jigsaw that they feel is one of the big differences between the consistency in challenging Man City and Liverpool. And here we have their most troublesome time of the season, and arguably Thomas Tuchel's most troublesome time since he took over. We have the big summer signing, pining to go back literally to Milan and, you know, offering his undying love for that club. And you know, it's really what Tuchel, as he said himself, he doesn't need it. What he needs is total commitment on the field. And he may get that, who knows? But it's crystal clear, Romelu Lukaku's head is not 100% in the second part of this Chelsea career.
Don, how are you feeling if you're in that Chelsea dressing room right now?
Players are quite resilient, Dan. I mean, there'll be a for sale sign on his face. I would imagine that would be the first thing the players would do, try and make light heart a joke of it. That's exactly what we do. Are you still here? All those sorts of bits of banter. But like the manager said, like Thomas Tuchel said, it's noise that he doesn't need. I mean, the only thing that he can do, Thomas Tuchel, is try and use this for fuel in the Liverpool game and get him firing. But it's some of the little bits that just makes me feel uneasy. The way he's sort of questioning Thomas Tuchel's style or his system. You know, he said he was brought in to play a different system. Well, you know, you bought in for £100 million, and Thomas Tuchel spent a big part of that money on you, spearheading that Chelsea attack, and Roman Abramovich has spent all that money on you. I'm not really sure why or how he gains in this Lukaku.
Jules, we often complain, don't we, that footballers just come up with cliches. They don't really say anything. Lukaku has certainly broken the mould with this interview. The thing that I can't, and I'm sure most fans can't get their heads around, is why.
Well, yeah, why? Well, it's 3 weeks ago that he did that interview at a time where I think he had a lot of frustration in him. Remember, he had that big ankle injury that he suffered against Malmö in the Champions League. Then after that, he had COVID. I think he struggled a little bit to understand when he was fit again to play, or certainly fit enough to play. Maybe he was not 100%, and that was what the problem was. But didn't understand why he was left on the bench a few times, only coming on late in games. And he vented that frustration before. I remember an interview that he gave to Sky here in England, where he said, I'm not happy by just coming on for the last 5, 10, 15 minutes. I want to start now. I feel I can start now. So already then he was frustrated. Then he did that interview. And I don't know if it's naughty from Sky Italy to wait so long to play it or what, but certainly I think that there's a difference in the mood right now. He scored in the last 3 games. I was at the Brighton game. I saw him before the game with Tuchel. I saw him after the game with Tuchel. They look to be quite happy with each other. So things could be very different now than they were 3 weeks ago, of course. But regardless of all of that, it's still things that you say that is not good for the club. It's not good for his relationship with Tuchel. For example, something very simple that I was told in the translation. So when he said the interview, he said the manager. in all the translation is Tuchel. And I think you see it in a very negative way when a player calls his manager by the surname, and it really, rarely happens if someone says, oh, Wenger does this, or Ferguson does this, or Tuchel, or Klopp. They say, oh, the manager, or the coach, or the mister, or whatever, but they very rarely just call him purely by his surname. And I think already when you just look at the quote and say, well, Lukaku called him Tuchel, it looks like a lack of respect in a way. So I think there's been a lot with the translation as well that hasn't helped the case.
I mean,
Craig,
he's just going to have to get on with it. I mean, Don and I made a few moves. I have to say, Don made a fair few more than me as he was travelling around. But, and we both played for clubs that, Don was at Liverpool and, all these other big clubs and West Ham and such. And sometimes it is disappointing when you make a move, but you go into a new club and you have to, you could play badly, but you have to give it your all. When I left Chelsea after almost 10 years, I would have been happy to stay there, but I moved to Celtic and I didn't talk about pining on about going back to Chelsea. The same when I went to Derby. You think I'd rather have been at Derby County fighting in the bottom 5 or 6 in the Premier League rather than playing at Celtic? No, I wouldn't. But, I didn't go on like Don and pining on about going back to this club or that club. You get on with doing your job. What we have here is a situation where if they lose their next 3 or 4 games, and he doesn't score, and by the way, has scored since that period of the interview. He came off the bench against Villa and scored. He played the other day and scored. However, if those dry up and results keep going south and Chelsea basically eliminate themselves from this Premier League title race, the fans are going to turn on him. The fans are going to start turning on Tuchel in terms of why you playing him. He didn't even want to be here. It's just bringing up, unless he's banging the goals in and Chelsea are winning, it's just going to bring up unnecessary problems for both himself and the manager. I just don't understand it. It's a great club. He's in the Premier League. They've made a huge commitment to him. He's fighting for every honour, and they're not out of the title race yet, and I get it. He's frustrated a little bit. A good start to the season, then it fell away. Then he was on the bench, then he had the COVID. But come on, you can't be using this rhetoric, or you shouldn't be using this rhetoric, when a club have put so much faith and finance into you being a big part of this team.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.